again and welcome to Pattaya Property News, where this week I'm again continuing a conversation I had with Nigel Cornick, CEO of Kingdom Property, but a man with 2 decades of experience here in the Thailand property scene, reflecting on the way things were and the way things are. In your Raimon land days, why did Nigel leave the position of CEO?
We had built, or I'd built a company on my ideals, and they revolved around, giving people responsibility and encouraging sort of development at the lower levels, and many things that you don't find in traditional companies, let alone Thai companies. So we created Raimon Land, or I created Raimon Land with my team, and as I said, we had a honeymoon period with the new shareholders, and at the end of it, we divorced each other, or they divorced me. Which either way, it is what it is. It's what it is. But I think the legacy is still there. There is no single new project that's been added to my portfolio that I acquired. Northpoint continued to win awards. The river has won awards. I've got no doubt whatsoever 185 Rajadamri will win awards. Because real estate's a long-term business. It isn't about 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. It's about getting it right from the beginning and buying the right site, designing the right product, building it, selling it, finishing it, then managing it, and managing the expectations of your clients. So, for example, this site I bought in beginning of 2006. So here we are 6 years later, and it's here, it's established, and I think most people would agree it is probably one of, if not the best, certainly the best in Pattaya. I have got no doubt whatsoever.
And the tallest, I think.
And the tallest residential building in Pattaya. And I do not believe that there will be too many competitors to this product. For many reasons, not least of all because land prices have soared. Yeah. You will not be able to buy this type of real estate in these types of locations again, because it just doesn't exist. And you see already that developers are more inclined to put more on the site than less. If you were to buy this site today, then you could probably put 2 more buildings on it and create a totally different sort of product. So whoever's bought here has really bought in, not just into the square meterage, but they've bought into the 12 rai of environment which we created. And I think again it goes back to North Shore. When we did North Shore, if you look at the swimming pool deck at North Shore and the facilities, they're pretty comprehensive. It's really one whole floor, which could have been saleable area partly. But we gave away that, and if you go through the building here, you've got your Sky Gardens, which again is not part of the commercial return. It's a benefit to the residents. So you look at all those elements and you say, well, really what you're getting here is great value for money.
So do you agree that in real estate you are selling a lifestyle even more than the structure itself?
Well, I think selling a lifestyle to some extent tends to be more related to resort properties than it does to CBD properties. And I think ultimately there are probably not many owner-occupiers here living here full-time. There are a number, but I would think that it's no more than 5 to 7%. But that will likely increase over time. So I think when you buy in a resort destination, you are buying a lifestyle product, generally speaking. I think there's obviously people that buy for investment, and certainly in Pattaya that's increased significantly. For example, rents in this building are as high as rents in a comparable building in Bangkok. Long-term rents, yearly rents, and that's driven by the economy of Pattaya and the Eastern Seaboard. So I don't think it's only about lifestyle.
When you came to Thailand, was that about lifestyle, or what brought you here? Did you say it was more than 20 years ago?
I came here in end of '91, and I came here and started Collier's Jardines office. I had the chance to make that move from Australia, and that's what brought me here. It was more about I think working in Asia, although Australia's
kind of close neighbour, yeah. So it was simply a professional...
It was an opportunity, and as it's turned out, it proved to be the right one.
Yes.
I've not left since.
Yeah, indeed. And that also makes me wonder, as I have before, when you stopped being CEO of Raimon Land, you could no doubt have, well, certainly could have gone somewhere else. Maybe you could have even stopped working if you wished, but you've taken a much more interesting course. You've launched an impressive new company doing similar things to this.
The latter, definitely not. I wish I could, but that was not planned for at least another 5 years of involvement. But anyway, I think there was no way that I had any desire or need to leave Thailand. It was a question, I suppose, of finding an opportunity that that continued.
Yeah, could build on what you'd already done. Yes.
And it was not the best of times, frankly. In 2009, it was just after the crisis of 2008. Although I still believe that Thailand was less affected during that period than perhaps other parts of the world. In fact, I think Asia was less affected to some extent than some of the other markets. In Thailand, I think particularly the development sector, and again I think because it is this long-term process, I don't think that you saw any real upheaval in the development industry as far as job layoffs or even a downturn in the demand, particularly in Bangkok. I think probably Pattaya, Phuket and Samui, they suffered, I think, more, and I think that in the period between 2009 and sort of mid-2010, all those markets were under pressure. Now Pattaya, in my view, is the only market that's come out of that doldrum. I think Phuket and Samui are still facing very hard times.
But you knew you were going to stay in the industry, and this time it was going to be even more on your terms with your own company, with investors, I guess. But
no, I think that as an investor told me yesterday, in fact, he said that we only want to do business with people that have got skin in the game. So I think that was something that I learnt from my experiences at Raimon, that you really have to be the master of your own destiny. And that's.
I thought you were already.
No, I think that's not the case when you have public companies and you have shareholders that don't share your same views. And so, I think that's something that you learn, and I won't make that mistake again.
How do you feel about tackling all the regulations again, though, when you want to do something new? And you've got ahead. You've got this new tower soon to rise on Pattaya.
No, as I said, having been here 22 years and worked through the process of 11 buildings in Raimon, all with EIA issues, all with governmental issues, all with ownership issues, I think that there's a way to go through it, and if you understand the minefield and you focus on how it has to be done, and instead of trying to impress on, I suppose, the situation, your own views about how you think it should be done, you've got to accept that is the way it's done. And if you accept that's the way it's done, then you'll get it done. And I don't think there's anything overly difficult about getting an approval for a building.
You think they're quite reasonable in the regulations?
I think at the end of the day, there are grey areas, but which tend to be open for a little bit of interpretation. But I don't think so. I don't think here we're sitting in a 52-storey building on a beachfront. It complies with all the setback requirements, the plot ratio requirements, and that's it. It's not rocket science.
But what about tall buildings having to have helicopter landing pads on the roof? Is that a new regulation? Do you know?
Well, it isn't actually a helicopter landing. It's an evacuation pad for which people can be extracted by a helicopter. So it isn't that you've got to be able to put a helicopter on the roof. The idea is that people that get trapped at the top of a building can go up to the roof and be transported off the top. That's the logic. It isn't that you can put the helicopter, because the people are going to be actually standing where the helicopter would have to go down. So that's the concept, and it's it's a regulation that's been enforced for many years. It's not something new, and it's not a particularly onerous regulation, frankly.
So with your new project, Southpoint,
yes,
using that sort of iconic name that we have here in Pattaya, a variation on it. I note you appear to be very exacting about where you're placing, price placing the product. Is that what you've had in mind all along, and what is your overall view of what you want to build there? I mean, I know it's all design, but what will it tell us when we see the finished product about your philosophy?
I think that it will be, it will definitely be built to it's not going to be built to Northpoint, because Northpoint, frankly, is to build this again. Frankly, your selling prices would need to be up around, I would think, 175, 200,000 baht a square meter. Yeah. Now our price point is much more towards the 70 to 100,000 baht per square meter, and we're already achieving those numbers. And I would say it's much more towards a North Shore specification than a Northpoint specification. But that being said, it will be, it will be built and detailed and finished to the levels that we're seeing in Northpoint. So it isn't. There are nuances in all projects that relate to the commerce, and the commerce is that this is a pure beachfront site, and Southpoint has got great views, but it's not on the beach. So we accept there's an upper limit to the pricing, and so we will build according to that that upper limit. But even then, believe me, the cost of building Southpoint is going to be significantly more than the cost for me to have built North Shore. So I think that tells you something about A, where perhaps construction pricing has gone, and B, where we're going.
And obviously you're looking forward to the experience of having the new building up and completed and fully sold.
Well, I'm certainly hoping that we'll be able to sit in the 29th floor in 3 years' time and recount this experience.
Yes. Well, you do seem to be visionary and realistic, a good combination in the real estate business where we do see a lack of realism at times.
I think you have to try and move things forward and not sit back. As I said to you before, when I first came here, the norm was to sell condos with no fittings, no toilets, no floors, no kitchens, and one of the downsides of that, apart from the fact that it costs, it's got an impact on the residents of that building for the foreseeable future, because not everybody is ready to decorate their unit or come in and fit it out. So you've got a potential building site for 2-3 years ahead, and frankly, having seen some of the impact of having fit-out contractors and builders in units where they have no regard for other residents, only on getting their job done and getting their rubbish flushed away down the toilets, it's a nightmare. So that's moving forward, and now everybody follows that norm.
Yeah. The norm of completing.
Completing, yeah. There's very, very few instances, except perhaps at the very high end of the market, where anyone would have a bare shell unit, and that would normally be a penthouse unit, where you have an expectation as a buyer to be able to go in and do it how you want to do it. But that would be perhaps the only case I would imagine it to happen.
And the name of your new company, Kingdom Property, that's a good one too.
Well, I've actually had shareholding in Kingdom Property for many years. It was set up by a Thai gentleman who wanted to get involved in property. I invested in it with him, and we ran a property agency with some of my old staff for a while. No, we've had the name for some time, yeah.
Well, it's a name we expect to hear, especially in Pattaya, expect to hear quite a bit from.
Well, I'm sure you will do.
And thanks for joining me with those various insights too. Thank you, Nigel. It's excellent. Thank you very much. So, from the tallest residential property in Pattaya, a game changer in its own right, to other happenings here in the city that never sleeps, join me next week for another Pattaya Property News.